Hello, everyone. I think I have the chat up and working. It is a beautiful day. Since I saw you last week, a lot has happened. I didn't see you last week. It's been 2 weeks. Last week was the 4th of July. So leave a comment when you get here so I know that the comments are working. Hello in Pennsylvania. I'm glad you're here. So I was off last week from social media because of the 4th of July, Independence Day here in the United States, which was last Tuesday. It was really hot. All of last week was really, really, really hot. So I was in my sewing room because I have an air conditioning unit in here. Hello in Boston. It's good to see you, Cindy. I'm glad you're here. I can finally say I've been to Boston. I was there for my birthday. So I have a frame of reference now, finally. Oh, hello. You're watching from Mexico instead of Ontario. Well, hello. Welcome from Mexico. I guess Debbie Brown Quilts has gone international, or is international once again, because I'm no longer leaving the country. Oh, Kissimmee, Florida. Yeah, hot and humid. So yeah, last week was hot and humid. It was the 90s with 90% humidity, which was super duper fun. But again, I have an air conditioning unit in my sewing room, so I spent a lot of time in here. Hello in North Carolina and New Jersey. So we've got the Eastern Seaboard. We need some West Coasters. Hello. This is the wrong time of day to get my Australian friends. I believe they're asleep. And hello in Canada again in PEI. Any flooding up my way? Yes, definitely. So last week we had hot and humid. And for us, mid 90s with mid 90% humidity is pretty gross, especially when you live in a house without air conditioning. So I was trying to not, sorry, moving this around. I was trying to not be in the kitchen, and I was trying to not use the oven just because it's really hot and icky and sticky and gross. See, Adirondack Park near Long Lake has severe flooding and road damage. I live on the Appalachian Trail. I live between at the intersection of Interstate 84 and the Taconic State Parkway. After all of that hot and humid weather, we were getting flooding storms on Sunday into Monday. And we have been flooded before. I live on a mountain. My property goes this way and this way. So I try to keep the water that comes down toward the house going around the house. And we have culverts. We've dug culverts over the years, and the water has carved culverts over the years, but sometimes they get blocked by down trees and such. The culverts held. There wasn't much water. There wasn't water in the house. Some covered the driveway for a little bit for the worst of it, but we were absolutely fine. Kept power. Everything was great. At the bottom of our street, the road washed away, which just is in need of new paving. That's fine. The bridge that was out, was that 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. The bridge was out, which is just around the corner from my house. It was out for 21, 22 days, which was really fun because I'm at the end of my town and the end of my county. So there, we were completely cut off, and it took, it was a 20-mile drive around, or you had to hike through the woods and go across a driveway bridge to get across the stream because the driveway bridge held, but the town bridge did not. So anyway, the new bridge held. Yay! My husband got up to go to work on Monday morning after, I don't know, in our area, we probably got about 6 inches of rain. West of us, it was, just on the other side of our river, was really, really bad. The fatalities, towns walk, it was bad. Like that's over near West Point, the military academy. Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery, that's all right near West Point. So it was really, really, really bad. Our bridge held, but right past the bridge, the road flooded out. So my husband was home for half a day, and then the water subsided, and my husband was able to go to work. So for us, it was a non-issue. I haven't left the house yet. I haven't been to town. So I don't know what things look like there, but my husband only drives 3 miles to work because we just live up the mountain from the factory, from the plant where he works, making all the little chips that go on our phones and stuff like that. So exciting, the bridge held, the road flooded, a lot of property damage, things like that. But we were absolutely unscathed. And even if we had lost power or had a little water, we kind of roll with it. We've already lost our house once and rolled with that. So it's all good. And I just feel really sad for the house that a boulder rolled into it and the house flooded and a woman got trapped in the floodwaters. And a young woman, she was in her mid-30s, got trapped trying to escape her house as the floodwaters came through. So yeah, it was pretty bad. I do live right where that was. But I think that, so continue prayers for the family of the woman who lost her life. And I believe in Vermont, which also we tend to get similar flooding to Vermont. They had, there's a dam that might not be holding much more, so they can't evacuate. Oh, hello. Hello from Brazil. So we are international. So we've got Canada and Brazil and Mexico. So hello, everyone. I'm so excited about the new ladybug as well, and I can't wait to talk to you about that. But this is what we do whenever we're tired of the flooding that everyone sees on the news. But yes, if you see Hudson Valley flooding, that's exactly where I live. We have flooded before. We've lost our bridge twice. But again, me and mine are fine. And actually, the road opened in time for the mail to go out, which was great because I was shipping out a bunch of orders. I have more going out later today. So I'm on it. I was really concerned because I don't like to make people wait. I know when I order fabric and things like that, I want my stuff. So let me get my list of things to talk to you about. Flooding was on the first. So Brazil, I know one phrase in Portuguese, bem-vindo. And that's all I know. I tried to learn Portuguese and it didn't work because my Spanish kept coming back out. So let me get my book. Let's see. Well, let's just start with the ladybugs. So this is our newest color block. The pattern is not out yet. I'm writing it currently, but it will be out later today, and I'll be sending a newsletter. Should be by tonight. Things are really shaping up nicely because I really try to not bother you with too many emails. So this is a Color Blocks. It is Color Blocks 2023. Color Blocks Goes Wild. The idea was to have a critter every month. So far, we've had a cat and we've had a ladybug. And in between, I was sick for a really long time. So we skipped February through June. This is July's quilt. I don't know that I'll make them up, but we'll see how the year goes. It was really, really fun to make. And the fun story about ladybugs is my house is infested with Japanese fake ladybugs. We bought our house. It was absolutely infested. And we had to keep all of our food closed up for 6 months. And we would pick up on our spoon, we'd pick up dinner. And by the time we brought it to our mouth from the table, a ladybug would have landed on it. One of those fake ladybugs. They're orange. They're like a Japanese lady beetle something. They bite and they pee yellow, which is nice. When they land on things, you get little yellow spots on it, like lampshades and stuff. So we still have a few in the house seasonally, but ladybugs, not typically my favorite. I've been traumatized, but this was cute. And it's just a really sweet baby size. I think it's like 38 by 48 inches, something like that. It's really little. It'll fit on one width of fabric to baste it, to quilt it. So that's wonderful. But I want to talk to you about how I made it, because this has some applique in it, which is the spots. And you can put the spots on anywhere, any way you want. I'm up and close and personal with ladybugs. Whenever they gather for the season, which is going into the fall, they end up all over my windows, and then I flick them out the window so I see them up close and personal, the fake ladybugs. Put your ladybugs wherever you want them, your spots. Let me pull up something to share here. I have pictures. I think this is it. Okay, leave me a comment if you can see this picture of craft text. They say it's the best of paper and the best of leather together. I've used it before, and the stuff I have is washable. So whenever I do applique, I typically put a layer of fabric and a layer of fusible web, cut out my circle, iron it on, and then stitch around it so that it doesn't fray. Let me see comments. Let's see. You see the picture of craft text. Thank you for that very much. So in the craft text, I have a couple packs of craft text, and what I did was I cut out circles. And let's see, can I change? Nope, wrong way. Yes, we had a band playing at my church that I was doing their social media. So let's go on to this. Nope, I got to open a new picture separately. I was hoping I could just scroll through the pictures. Give me a second. So that was the craft text I bought. And I have several pieces of it. So I have colors and I have black. I have a couple packets of it here. So I've used a bunch of it for different things. When I don't feel like using the fusible web and then zigzagging around it to make sure it doesn't fray. Let me pull up the next picture. Let's see. Like I said, I really was hoping that I could just scroll through them, but apparently not. Come back to you, share my screen, window. Here we are. So here's what I did. Does anyone recognize what that orange thing is? It is the bottom of a spool of Aurifil thread. I just pulled it off the bottom of my spool. It's about 1 3/4 inches, 1 7/8 around, and I traced it. I made 63 circles because I made 9 spots on each ladybug. You can put yours on every one different. I put mine on every one the same because I'm kind of that way. So that's what I did. Let's see. Here's my next one. When I was positioning them, I positioned them so like 1/4 inch or halfway between the seams is how I did some of them. And when I stitched it, let me see, I don't know if I can blow it up, but when I stitched it, I took it to my regular sewing machine and I just stitched a regular stitch around the edge and then did a little back and forth and cut it. So I didn't have to do anything super precise because you really can't see it when it's the black on black. Did that kind of make sense? I just plopped it on there. I just set it on there, put my machine foot on there and stitched around it. There was nothing, I didn't stick it on, I didn't pin it on, I didn't glue it on. I just laid it on there and stitched around. It didn't shift at all. So I like to use craft text. I've used it on a lot of things for faces as I've been working on a lot of these critters and such, if I don't feel like doing fusible web, because that I worry about the zigzag and it fraying. This won't fray and it does launder. So that's craft text. Let me see if I have, I'll put it in the comments. There's a link to the craft text if you want to see it in the comments right now. So that's the ladybug. The pattern will be out. It is 9 squares. You need probably 2 pieces of craft text or a fat quarter of black fabric for your spots. You need maybe a 1/3 yard of background, 1/3 to a 1/2 yard of background, 1/3 to a 1/2 yard of sashing, and maybe a yard of border and binding. It's really not a big fabric suck. So that's what I did. I was pretty excited about it, and I'm looking forward to quilting it. So I'll baste it up after this week. Let me grab something else to show you. It's very heavy. So I did a presentation at my local quilt guild, and a lot of people asked me, how long did it take you to make a quilt? And I told them it usually takes me 20 hours to make the quilt in 3 hours. I made that in way less than 3 hours, other than it took a while to do the circles. And I'll show you why it doesn't take very long. Because this basket is full of color blocks. So whenever I needed to make a quilt, I pull out the blocks of the right color. Then all I have to do is do the backgrounds, borders, sashings, things like that. So it doesn't take as long as you think. Whenever you're doing stupid sewing, whenever my brain is stupid, I like to sit and make these because they don't have to be super accurate. So if you're new to color blocks are taking all of your scraps, cutting them into 2.5 inch squares and sewing them into 16 patches. You can strip piece them if you want. I just don't. And I actually had to cut new fabric for this because I've made a lot of quilts with red in them, and I'm out of red fabric, so I had to make more red blocks. The converse of that is true. I have green blocks, and then I have green blocks, and then I have green blocks. Oh, wait, another one. Wait, there's more. Still more green blocks. Am I done yet? Nope, still more. Hold on. Still more green blocks. Okay. Wait, nope, there's still more. One. There we go. I think that's it for the green blocks. I would say this is about 115, 120 green blocks. So I may be making some green critters. We'll see how it goes. And I do have other things to make. Like I need to make some quilts. My husband was funny the other day. He's like, oh, if you're looking for somebody to give a quilt to, you could give a quilt to the girls who work at the farm. And I'm like, on the list. And I'm thinking green color blocks, but I don't know what pattern yet. Our turtles in the future. I have a Lori Holt book that has a tractor, a John Deere tractor in it. So I was honestly thinking of making them a Lori Holt quilt with her farm stuff from her Farm Girl books. But I have so much green done. I might have to do some greeny animals. What other critters do you think you could do in color blocks? Because I have a lot of them drawn out already. Just a matter of piecing them. My spirit was willing, but my body was weak, so I got behind. It is so wonderful to have it be 95 degrees and 95% humidity and be absolutely miserable and hot, like I have been every summer my entire life, even when I was a skinny little kid, and have none of the COVID impact my lungs. So I'm just very grateful that I'm only as miserable as I ever was before. So life is beautiful. So I recommend if you have some scraps, start cutting them up, making in your color blocks. You're thinking an alligator. I'm going to take notes. Let me get my pen. Alligator. The other two the other three things that I've mentioned, I might have drawings of. I love having all of those made. It helps keep my scraps down. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like boot boxes, like men's boot boxes full of 2.5-inch squares. So whenever I need a certain color, I just pull them out and pull out the squares. And then I have 1 boot box full of fabric waiting to be cut. I did actually have to throw some of the border fabric from this quilt into future red quilts. While I had everything set up, I'm still sewing them till the fabric's gone because I have more red in our future. But it's really fun to just go through and make them and remake them and remake them. They're really good gift quilts and keeps the scraps moving instead of having contractor trash bags, probably 4 or 6 full of them. I would have already cut through in different forms. I now try to cut it as I go and not have much more than 1 boot box of scraps. I have the hiccups, sorry, at a time. Okay, so I talked about the craft text. I talked about the Aurifil spool. I talked about my pile of color blocks and the ladybug. I've talked about the flooding. Let's see, what else? Tomorrow night in Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio Facebook group and on YouTube, I will be doing a lesson on my feather class, lesson 9, and that is feathered hearts. And we'll talk about different ways to attack that. There's a whole lesson in the class, so this will be supplemental information. If you want to take the class and stitch along, that's great. Ask your questions here. I just wanted to revisit the class and help people who hadn't finished it or wanted to start it again. Also, in As the Bobbin Turns, I have another quilt that is in there this week. Let me pull up more photos. Let's see if this works better than the other one did. It does. So none of this has been on social media yet, I don't believe. It might have been in the machine quilting group. I tend to give you the sneaky peeks in there. So I did, are we sharing? Share. There we go. So I am a fan of Gudrun Erla. GE Designs is what she quilts under. She is an incredibly talented quilter and designer. She designs quilts made from strips. They're all pretty easy to make, but they don't necessarily look easy. This she calls like super quick, and it is. I used fabric on this. It was really, really fun. It is a mid-century modern line of fabric called Butterscotch. It has Pyrex bowls and mid-century modern furniture and stuff that I know was like my mother-in-law's kitchen wallpaper, the couch at my mom's house, things like that. So this was just a really nostalgic line of fabric that I loved making. When I went to do the quilting on it, I took stencils, and this is one of my ABC stencils. It's called Alignable Block Collection, and this on the left is the wallpaper I was talking about. There's also some gradient fabrics in there that are just gorgeous. I took the stencil, and what they do is they line up in a center line of your border. And I usually make these swirls go in opposite directions and touch, but I wanted them in this instance to look like two separate circles on the quilt. So they look separate here, even though you can see up close they are stitched together, because this is stitched twice and this is only stitched once, so it shows up. Let's see the last. And of course, ribbon candy. Now, I believe this ribbon candy is 2.5 inches. 2 inches, 2.5 inches. I don't really remember, but it's bigger than I can normally do. So I did really use a stencil for this. I normally don't. I'm really good with 1 inch ribbon candy, maybe 1.5. And after that, mine looks dorky. So I did stencil this, and there's a YouTube video at DebbyBrownQuilts on my YouTube channel. So you can watch from the beginning to the end on how I quilted this, as well as how I chose the thread for it. So let me come back and say hi to you. Let's see. Love the fabric. Thank you so much. I have the whole collection here. So I have half yard cuts, fat quarters, and cutie packs of this. The cutie packs are only 16 fat eighths, but there are 17 fabrics in the fat quarters and in the half yard cuts. So that is available on the website. It's just called Butterscotch. You can look it up there under my fabrics. And what happened was somebody ordered it and it was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that fabric line. And that's why I needed to make it. So let's see, somebody else, you saw it the other day, you have your Kobe quilt ready for quilting. You don't have to quilt it this way. I just like to show how I quilted it, because I think that some people have a real make it very mysterious. I like to take the mystery out of it. The other thing I did in it that people seem to respond well to was, let me see, I grabbed out my box of threads. I have a collection of my favorite 10 threads, and they live in a tin, and I ship it in a tin if you buy them. But I showed, why I didn't choose red, why I could have chosen black, things like that. So that's in the YouTube video as well. That link will be in the newsletter you'll get later tonight. And it's also, if you go to YouTube and just type in Debbie Brown Quilts, that's me. You think you're going to do the stencil that you used for the bigger blocks as well, but you'll go across versus down, so it'll look like air. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I don't think there's ever, sorry, I was covering my face. I don't think there's ever one right way to quilt a quilt. I just wanted to show one way to quilt a quilt. And the reason I like doing it in rows, so I had a row of ribbon candy, a row of ribbon candy, a row of swirls, a row of swirls. Number one, I think those two circles in there looked like a Lego. And I've got some grandsons, so we still, we've got Legos in the sofa cushions, etc. But I know with free motion quilting, if you're trying to do a free motion quilting, how many times have you gotten painted into a corner? I still do that, where I get painted into a corner. But whenever I'm stitching in rows, so I stitch row designs on a quilt because I just stitch from top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom on my home sewing machine. When I'm working on a long arm, I do the exact same thing, but I do it left to right because I lay it out, and that's the way the machine likes to work. So Mary, you follow GE Designs too. You have a laptop and a crib top put together. This was the lap version. I think it was 59 by 80 or something like that. It's beautiful. Love it very much. I have a bag of quilts I took to church on Sunday, but this one didn't go home with anyone. I gave 3 others away. I have this one and 2 others to give away at church on Sunday. This fabric is weird though, and it needs to go to the right sort of weird person. So I was giving some very different quilts away. Someone liked blue, so they got a blue quilt. And I'll show you pictures of that as well. Yep. Oh, someone else. We have 3 lap sizes. Let me pull up. So this is free for everybody. This is in this video of the Kobe is on YouTube, free for everyone. I want to do more of those, but I'm going to show you what's in As the Bobbin Turns. Let me pull up photos of that. Here we go. And I'll share it with you now. So this is the quilting of this is what is in As the Bobbin Turns. This is called Second Inning is the pattern. The pattern is included in the feather class, in the machine quilted feathers class, which is available at DebbyBrownQuilts.com in the online classes tab. I quilted it differently in the class. This one I quilted the same feathered wreath in each one and videoed it. And then I did background meandering and videoed it. This is made with 16 fat quarters of different fossil fern fabrics, which, oops, wrong quilt, wrong direction. Let's go that way. So you can see there's wool batting in here, which is what is making the feathers pop up because there's a little bit of loft in here. And you can see some of the fossil fern fabrics in here. So the video of me quilting that is what is in As the Bobbin Turns this week. So we did feathers 9 is tomorrow, I believe. As the Bobbin Turn we talked about, and I talked about giving quilts away on Sunday. And I have more to give away next Sunday. Do you ever just go through and cull your collection and say more of these need to go away? I just take a bag to church on Sundays and who I see is going to get them. I gave away a lot of my old samples, like a lot of the class samples from when I was teaching, a lot of the online class samples that I made while I was home. I gave those away. I probably gave 100 quilts away at church while I was home while I was locked down at home with COVID. Oh, thank you, Bev. I have so much fun quilting that. And in the As the Bobbin Turns, you'll see I might have had a thread slip out of the tension disc and had to take out about a third of the quilting on it, but at least it comes out easy. Pretty excited about that. So I'm enjoying the cooler weather this week after last week's really hot and humid weather, and then after the storms. There's a little bit of humidity yesterday, but it's really nice now. So I don't even have to run the air conditioner. It's very comfortable. I've never had air conditioning my whole life, so until it gets really bad, we're fine. The blue quilt is gorgeous. Thank you. You can make your very own. There'll be links for everything in the newsletter that I have the fossil fern fabrics and how to quilt it is in As the Bobbin Turns and in the feather class. That one was given away to a family that gets another quilt because they're going to have a baby soon. But that was mom's quilt because I knew they were all cold this week. It was really, really hot. So I'm going to enjoy some gorgeous weather. I have been doing a lot of cooking, going through all the farm stuff. Tonight we are going through, I made my bean sprouts. I don't know if you sprout your own beans, but I made bean sprouts to go with the scallions that we have too many of. So we're having egg foo young for miyaki because I'm going Chinese and Japanese vegetable pancakes. I have the egg foo young is shrimp and scallions and bean sprouts and eggs. Everything but the shrimp comes from the farm, and I grew the bean sprouts myself. I just bought some mung beans. I put 1/4 cup of mung beans in a 1/2 gallon mason jar, and it blew out the top. So next time I might only put in 2 tablespoons of mung beans. It makes a lot. And the okonomiyaki is sliced cabbage in a really, really light pancake batter. Think like a oh gosh, what's it called? It's the Japanese fried vegetables. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a really, really light pancake batter, but it's mostly sliced cabbage. And put that, and then you serve it with savory sauces. So I think that'll be our dinner tonight. Getting some more of the garden taken care of, and I'll take my compost. Got to dig that in for next year's garden. Let's see. You love the idea of taking quilts to church? Keep that in mind. I usually keep some in my car because you never know who might need a quilt. I mail them out. I was talking to my mail carrier yesterday who came right when the road opened. She already has a quilt, or I'd have given her one. Everybody who comes here gets a quilt. And there's usually, like I said, some in my car to give away. I've already gotten all the joy I need out of them because I make a lot of quilts for online content, for classes, to keep me sane, to keep me from stabbing people. But once the quilt is done, I don't need it. So I just get to surprise people. Fortunately, I go to enough doctor's appointments that I have all of my specialists and all of their assistants and the ladies in the infusion suites and all, so I have a lot of medical people I can give quilts to. Let's see. Any tips for square and a square blocks? The word is tempura that I'm looking for. It's a really light dough, the tempura dough. You just saw middle-aged brain. I was so dumb all winter with being very, very sick with COVID and pneumonia that I could barely think. My brain is working now as well as it's ever going to. So I'm back to work and everything's good. But sometimes the word poof just goes away. Any tips for square and a square blocks? No, but I can add that to the next feather class. Let's see, square and a square. I have drawings for the next feather class because I'm working on that. That would be a fun one. So thanks for that. What I would do is do something in the square and then do something opposite in the outside. So I might do feathers in the square and lines in the outside, or squares in the square and feathers in the outside. I don't like to do feathers in both unless I separate it. But thanks for giving me something to think about. Yes, please. We'll see if I think that's the same person. Yeah, it'll go in the next feather class. Now, the rest of my calendar year is kind of weird, so I will be irregular. I was not sure I was going to be in town this week, so I told you I wasn't sure. We have a lot of family stuff going on, so I'll be in and out of town with different family members and stuff going on. So it's not me, but my availability may change. I should be here. I might have to disappear occasionally, but I'll let you know. So I won't be able to say you're going to have a feather lesson every week. I might have to take a few weeks off here and there. But I'm at this season of life where we have parents, we have kids, we have grandkids, and there's a lot going on. So, and I'm sure quilters are mostly women. I know that there are men who quilt, but statistically, quilting is mostly women. And we get it. Most of us have been in the situation where we're caretaking one end or the other or somewhere in between. So yes, I will be working on another feather class. I have a couple other things I'm thinking of putting together, like a spiral class on the walking foot, things like that. So whatever I'm working on will come out new in As the Bobbin Turns first. Which is my subscriber only area, because you always get to see the behind the scenes. So you'll get it before it's released. And you can watch it as long as you're subscribed. But if not, it'll be available as a separate class as well, and we'll go through it. So that's what I got for you. Oh man, it is just such a gorgeous day. I was really happy to go out and get the mail. Maybe I'll have to go back out on the porch and enjoy a cup of tea or something and soak it up, because not all the days of summer are this gorgeous. They're either rainy or too hot. Enjoy wherever you are right now in Brazil, which is probably going into the middle of winter. I don't know how cold it gets in Brazil, but enjoy that weather and the nice breezes in PEI. Have a great time. Quilt, garden, do whatever the season brings you and whatever brings you joy. I will be back tomorrow night in Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio Facebook group, and also on YouTube, and we will talk about feathered hearts. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again. Happy quilting.